there are 4 components to be diagnosed with OCD. That you have the obsessions, the intrusive thoughts and sensations that are uncontrollable, that you do not want. The compulsive behaviors, these are the safety mechanism, the escape behaviors that you engage in to help yourself feel safe. And it has to take up a lot of time in a day, at least 1 hour. But that's still a lot of time if you're doing it, obsessing, engaging in compulsive behaviors. And then if it interferes with your daily functioning, whether it's school, work, social activities, family activities. So if you have 4 of those components, you have OCD. Then the question is, how much does it interfere with your daily functioning? How much time does it take from your daily activities? And there can be people who engage in obsessions and compulsions for at least an hour a day, to those people who are stuck in obsessions and compulsions for all of their waking moments.
Wow. The people who just have the obsessions, those thoughts, those intrusive thoughts, they don't have OCD because they're not doing the compulsions, because they don't. No, I'm wrong. Okay.
No. There's actually a term. It's called Pure O, which stands Pure O, which stands for pure obsessional. It's actually a misnomer, because what we don't see are the mental compulsions that the person is engaged in. So we see, or the person understands the obsessions that they're experiencing. However, with the fears that they have, they're engaging in a lot of mental compulsions. If you can imagine like a philosopher, right? What does a philosopher want to do? The fear is not getting at the truth.
Then they want to figure out the truth?
Figure out the truth.
Okay.
And that is what a person with Pure O engages in. They have whatever that fear is, okay? Let's say the fear that the world is not really round. And they engage in mental compulsions, whether it's thinking of a conversation that they've had with their peers and their colleagues, or they're thinking of an article that they read, or thinking back of a thought that they might have had. They're constantly intellectualizing. They're constantly repeating certain thoughts. They're constantly trying to get at the truth. They're trying to get at certainty. And remember, OCD is the disease of the doubt. And the reality is, in life, there is no certainty. However, a person with OCD is trying to obtain certainty that doesn't exist.
So is it possible, though, that someone just has the thought and not the compulsion?
It's really rare, because the compulsion is also any type of escape or safety behaviors, right? So even a person with Pure O, what they would do is they might seek reassurance from other people. They might seek reassurance from their family members. They might seek reassurance from the internet, with all that information on the internet these days. They might avoid the situation that triggers the fear or the uncertainty.
So let's just say I got really mad at my landlord, and I thought, you know what, I am going to burn this place down because I'm just so angry. Now, I'm not going to do that, but I had the thought. But obviously, that doesn't mean I have OCD.
No.
But what was my compulsion in that scenario?
So a person with OCD would have the thought and think, oh my goodness, what does that mean about me? Why would I have such a thought? Why would anyone have such a horrible thought? Am I a criminal? I must be a criminal if I'm going to have these thoughts. And then they would fear acting out the thought. So there's a term called thought-action fusion, which is when a person believes that having a thought is going to lead to an action, and they tie the two together.
I get it now.
And you have to remember, a thought is a thought is a thought is a thought. It's just that. Just because you have a thought doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to act out a thought, right? How many times have we had thoughts of beating up our bosses?
Of course.
Or
I mean, not here at MedCircle. I've never thought that. I just want to be very clear.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or you know, kicking the ticket meter's butt,
right? Yeah.
For giving me that ticket.
Yeah.
Just because you have the thought doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to act out on the thought.
Got it.
However, a person with OCD would believe that having a thought means they're going to act out the thought. And what a horrible thing that would be if I did that thing.
In the series we did with Dr. Ramani on anxiety, she really dove deep into how just changing our thought process can help relieve a lot of this anxious behavior. And it's interesting, I'm hearing this as saying, yes, changing our thought process could change this behavior too, but also understanding that they are only thoughts.
Yes.
Is such a powerful thing to understand.
Absolutely.
For people who know someone with OCD or have OCD themselves.
And you know, I think that with people with OCD and anxiety disorders, it has to go beyond just the cognitive therapy part. And the reason why being is people with OCD and anxiety, they realize that their fears are irrational. They realize that it's excessive to be washing 8 hours a day. However, they can't help it.
Right.
Because just because they have the intellectual understanding doesn't translate to an emotional belief.
Yes.
And therefore, the behavior therapy part, and this is, you know, cognitive behavior therapy, the behavior therapy part is the more important component for treatment, because the behavior therapy is what you do to confront the fears that give you the feedback, oh, this actually isn't so threatening.
Nothing happened.
Right?
Nothing bad happened. Yeah. I'm thinking of all the parents watching this going, this is fine, but how do I know if my kid is acting out, if they have ADHD, if they're just depressed, or if they have OCD?
Right.
I mean, what do you tell those parents?
Well, first of all, you want to recognize some signs. So if your loved one is stuck repeating certain behaviors, if your loved one...
Give an example, though. Give me an example in like an adolescent teen or a child even younger.
Okay. Examples: going in and out of doors, getting up and down off of chairs, turning the stoves on and off, checking faucets, washing to the point where their hands are bloody and dry and chapped and cracked, constantly asking for reassurance, for certainty. Is this okay for me to touch? Is this knife okay to use? Is my food contaminated? Will I be hurt if I go to school? If they have a hard time sleeping because they are so stuck in their obsessive thoughts that they can't sleep because your body's natural fight or flight response is heightened. If they are the last to get out of the house in the morning because they are stuck performing compulsive behaviors and they're simply late. They'd rather be late than to not engage in their compulsive behaviors. Have they started to avoid friends, avoid school, avoid things that they used to enjoy because of fear of embarrassment or because they fear that they will get stuck in the ritual while they are in public? Are they more irritable? Because again, your brain is like a plate. If your plate is full of negative thoughts, then you're not going to have space or tolerance for anything else. So are they more frustrated and irritable? So those are just some of the signs that parents and loved ones can recognize. And if they do, then they need to seek help. Whether it's finding an OCD support group, finding an expert who can treat the person. Parents can always go on the International OCD Foundation website, which is iocdf.org. There is a therapist directory of experts who can treat OCD. There is also the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, which is adaa.org, that also has a therapist directory, and as well the abct.org, which is the Advancement of Behavioral and Cognitive Therapy.